Hi everyone, it's Savannah Glassman. Today we're going to talk about why just knowing that you have an assertiveness problem is not sufficient to solve it. Please join me as we talk about the 4 causes of lack of assertiveness. Now, in aviation, we use the term assertiveness, but in organizational behavior, they use the term employee silence. It means the same thing. It's the withholding of work-related ideas, questions, or concerns from someone who could affect change. And as I read these, I encourage you to think about your company and any cases where there might have been a lack of assertiveness and think which of these 4 causes might be the underlying cause in that situation. The first one that the research mentions is quiescent silence. Now, this is employees that remain silent at work due to fear that speaking up will have a negative effect on their career, damage relationships, or lead to being labeled as a troublemaker by superiors or colleagues. And we know this is not an unfounded fear. Whistleblowers definitely face retaliation. The article goes on to explain that remaining silent due to fear, or this quiescent silence, comes with a high price tag, namely high arousal negative effects and increased exhaustion. We're hearing that this quiescent silence is leading to increased fatigue and increased stress and pressure. The second kind is acquiescent silence. People aren't afraid to speak up, but they don't think that it'll make a difference, so they don't bother to. They don't think anybody is listening to them, or they have any ability to affect change. This is similar to learned helplessness, where you just say, no one will listen to me anyway. But it gets even more interesting. The third kind is a pro-social silence. And this is where you withhold your views to protect your colleagues or not embarrass your superiors or a specific group like the organization. So this is different because it's accompanied by positive emotions. You want to be helpful, you're trying to be a team player. But of course, the consequences of that are not always good. Even though pro-social silence stems from a positive place, there are still feelings of hopelessness and shame and sadness. Knowing that the group is doing something wrong is not a very happy position to be in. We see high teamwork scores. However, we also see stress and pressure. The fourth type of silence is called opportunistic silence. This is a selfish silence motive. It's sort of the opposite of the pro-social silence motive. This is where an individual remains silent for selfish motives, such as the intention of protecting a knowledge advantage or avoiding an additional workload or wanting to go home early. You might see this in a situation where somebody wants a coworker to make a mistake. It is not enough to know that you have a low assertiveness score or that there's a problem with assertiveness in the workplace. We're going to have to dig a little deeper than that to find out the underlying cause. If it turns out that lack of assertiveness is due to pro-social silence, the remedy for that situation is going to be much, much different than if the problem is a quiescent silence. In one case, the remedy would be empowering everybody to feel like they can speak up, to make sure that they're listened to. But if you have pro-social silence as your cause, that is not helpful. In fact, that could be contrary to what you're trying to accomplish. One way you can begin to understand the cause or guess at it is to look at your culture, not just your company culture, the culture of the country that you live in. Because of course we see stricter hierarchical organizations in some places and a more collectivist organization in other countries. And that is a great starting point for beginning to understand where is this lack of assertiveness coming from. For those of you that will be at the CHC Safety Summit next week, I know Brent is looking forward to meeting a lot of you there. He's going to be speaking on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful to you. I'll see you next time.